Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, just what you've observed from the other end of it, I'm always curious to understand, from a patient perspective, like you go into your doctor's office, if you have maybe facial realignment or whatever it may be, you talk to a doctor, you get some scans. What's happening in the background? Are there at like doctors' offices and hospitals, are there people doing these segmentations and printing stuff? Are they just working with hey, like we're going to work with 3D systems or a customer of 3D systems to get this done? Like, what's the business behind like this stuff? Like, how are people how is this being executed um, from that standpoint?
It's a really good question, and it's evolving. I think at the beginning, it was primarily working with, shops like medical modeling and then 3D systems, of course. Materialize was doing some of this. There's MedCAD and a few others that were doing it on a smaller scale as well. So kind of outsourcing that work to that kind of shop. So the surgeon and the rep will get on a call with an engineer and designer. Basically, it'll plan it out, and ultimately the clinician is responsible for the plan. So they got to give it, sign of approval, and then move it forward. More and more now, we're seeing more point of care usage. So like Veterans Affairs, VA Hospital, Mayo, Hospital for Special Surgery. A lot of these ones are doing the work themselves, so bringing it on, and this brings a whole nother complexity to the regulatory side, because then how do you regulate? Is the 3D printer the medical device? Is it just the software? Is the
Mm-hmm.
material the medical device? So there's a lot of work going on there. I think as a patient, you don't see a lot of it. It's kind
Yeah.
of interesting, like when I got my knee done, I had just gone to my first, the knee cadaver lab, and I asked them what kind of gear they put in, and the physician's assistant at first kind of freaked out, and they're like, why do you want to know? Because they think you're going to sue them for something, right? Some sort
Yeah.
of, something. But usually on the patient side, it's kind of crazy, because it's a big deal, right? If you're getting that kind of surgery, but usually you don't know what kind of hardware you're getting. You don't know what's going on in the background. It's
Yeah.
just, it's happening. So it's kind of been fun, and as relatives and otherwise, you get a full knee or you get something, and you ask them what kind of hardware they got. Nobody knows, and then you ask, and they have to document it. People know, but
Yeah.
it's not a usual question you get.
And so,
But it should improve like the patient outcome, right? Like less time in the OR. If you get better alignments, you don't have to go in for revision, better healing, so on and so forth.